Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Illinois Stories. I'm Mark McDonald near Ursa. And you may have noticed that in past Illinois Stories, we've featured people who have interesting collections. Well, one of our viewers called us about Gary Brickman and said, if you want to see a collector extraordinary, you've got to meet Gary. He and his wife coached at Mendon Unity for decades, and they've got the darndest athletic collection you ever saw. So we came out, and not only is that building full of that, but the barn on my right is full of that, and their home over here was built the same time as the barn was, and we're going to go through some of these places and get a look at this collection. But Gary, it is interesting. You were a coach at Mendon Unity School for 30-some years, right? And when you started showing an interest in the athletic, saving the athletic things there, people just started bringing it to you, didn't they?
Yeah, and I collected some because the guy gave them to me as an athletic director. They got pictures of it, and people started bringing things in, and neighbors to the school and ladies brought me in a whole bunch of old pictures, and it was really fun thing to do.
As a matter of fact, that building just over your right shoulder, the garage, that's where all the sports memorabilia is, and that's all the Mendon stuff, right?
It's all Unity stuff in there, except I got a couple pictures from when I was at Camp Point, but basically it's all Unity and Mendon Township High School, and there's even one from Mendon High School in there.
There's even part of the old gym floor.
Yeah,
on the floor.
And that was given to me by the guy who bought the floor in 92 or 93, somewhere along in there.
Yeah.
So
this property, your property has an interesting history. The home behind you and the barn to my left over here, they burned the same year, didn't they?
That's what we were told. They were burned the same year in 32 or 33, somewhere along in there. And then they started building the barn, the house burnt. They came back they pulled that crew off and built the house, and they went back and finished the barn, is what we were been told.
Can you imagine in 1932 or 3, at the height of the Depression, losing your barn and your house at the same time?
Well, absolutely not. I mean, just building a house in that period would have been a mind-boggling deal.
Yeah. And then behind the house is a summer kitchen, which didn't burn, and that's part of the original structures. So that's still here.
That's still here.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to start us in the barn.
Okay.
Because you've collected St. Louis Cardinals baseball memorabilia, beer sign memorabilia, old cafe stuff, in addition to all the athletic stuff that you've got. So let's get started over here.
That'll be fine.
Okay. Okay, this is your 1930s barn, and when they built this barn, they didn't even own a tractor yet.
No.
And we're going to see evidence of that because they had draft horses, didn't they?
It was a state-of-the-art draft horse barn, and those stables are downstairs, so we'll show that to you later in the day.
Good. Let's start in here. Let me follow you in there, okay? And I didn't even mention the toys, but you're a toy collector as well, and a lot of folks are into these toys now.
Yeah. Well, this tractor collection actually got started with these two tractors right here from the Mendon Variety Store. They were closing the store, and I went in there and see if there's any bargains, and I seen those two tractors. So I went in and I bought those two tractors, and then it got out of hand.
Sure did.
And then I discovered that there was no end to that. So basically all these tractors are tractors that I grew up with when I was a kid, and over here is tractors that my father, or replicas of my father and my grandfather's tractors.
Okay, point those out for us. We know what you were talking about.
We had this M, and my dad had this 445. My grandfather
had a
Farmall. And we had one with a cultivator just exactly like that one.
Yeah.
So after that, you could go any direction with the tractors. There was just no end to it. And then the toy trucks, I just picked up here, there, and yonder, and
some of these really look old. Look at this top row up here. I mean, these. How old are these, you think?
I would guess in the 30s, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That top row came from a friend of mine, Guy Deere.
Wow.
And he wanted to put on display, and I did. Actually, this collection got started with that sand truck.
With this one here?
Yeah, that I picked up at a flea market in Lorain, Illinois, and then that kind of piqued my interest and just started looking, and Then people found out they were worth a lot, and then I had to give that up. So.
Do you ever use the internet to locate any of these things?
No, I don't. I just trip into them.
You just find them when
you go to auctions. I go to flea markets and that kind of stuff, and I just trip into stuff.
Yeah, you have a very wide range of interests, though. I mean, as we're going to see when we go through here, you can't go anywhere without finding something that interests you because everything does, right?
That's not true. Okay. I particularly like the local stuff, but I probably started that 10 years too late because they were closing stores and whatnot in Lima and Ursa and Minden, and now I'll pick up some small someplace, the keychains, thermometers or things like that, but all in all, it's you keep finding stuff.
I can tell you're a St. Louis Cardinals
I'm a Cardinal fan. That comes from my grandfather. He used to stay up at night and listen to the Cardinals when they first went to the West Coast and for the Dodgers games.
Yeah.
He'd stick his ear to that Felco store or radio. And
well, it's no mystery. I mean, which team you root for, that's for sure. Look at all these gloves and hats hanging here. This is cool.
Well, most all of these gloves came from an auction from a guy west Lima named Raymond Leeper, and they were in one box. And Rosemary said, "Why don't you buy those?" And I said, "Well, okay." Back when I didn't have $10, and I bought that and put them away.
And you got 20 gloves for $10. Huh?
Yeah.
Not
so
bad.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, and you got the hats. You got the hats from the different eras and different styles. That's neat.
Right.
This is interesting. Anybody from around the Quincy area is going to recognize this.
Yeah,
on Channel 7, there was a newscaster, or a personality anyway, who used to draw the Cardinals tickets out of there, didn't he?
Every week, and I found this one at an auction over at Miller Auction over at Camp Point, and as soon as I seen it, it was one of those things, I'm going to have that one, and it didn't go for much, so I was fortunate there. So
this is remarkable. You can't squeeze another thing on these walls. These
if I
walls
get something, I have to do some rearranging, creative rearranging, and if they win a pennant, I have to add another shelf. See?
You do. You sure do.
I was ready for them to win the World Series, and they didn't do it, so that cut back on that.
The greatest Cardinal of all, we lost him recently, and you've got the man.
Stan Musial.
You've got the man.
He was my idol from the time I grew up, and we found this Albert Pujols online. That was a Christmas present, of course. I'm easy to buy for Christmas.
You're easy to buy for.
Easy. So I said, and then this poster came out.
Oh, isn't that good?
I said, boy, I'd really like to have a Stan Musial one. And of course, I put a bug in her ear, and she went online and was able to locate it. And these
and I love these.
Seats,
the red seats, the round stadium, the old round stadium.
The old stadium.
All the seats were red.
These belonged to Cheryl Riney. And we put them on loan. They're a good family friend, and they just kind of fit perfectly for me. So
very nice, very nice. This room's very interesting. I know one thing I noticed: you don't have a TV in here, so you don't watch Cardinals games.
No, I don't. If I'm watching Cardinals, I'm in the air conditioning.
Yeah, the barn's not air conditioned.
The barn's not air conditioned. It's not heated, so you can come out here and sit, but sooner or later you're going to leave.
Okay, let's go to the next room. Well, Gary, there's no end to it.
Well, we got another granary we got to go through.
Okay, this would have been a grain room.
All three of these would have been granaries. And actually the toy room would have been a small corn crib. But, by today's standards, it doesn't mount much, but they had ear corn in there. So
again, we can't look at everything, but the feature piece of this room is this remarkable likeness. These were buildings that were on the Shoup-Klusmeyer farm.
Yeah, the Charlie Shoup farm, which is north of Minden, and they were built to scale in his shop class in 1942 at Minden Township High School.
He was a kid. He was a 16-year-old kid.
16 years old.
This was a school project.
And you think about if you look at the detail of it and think about the tools he probably had to use, a coping saw or whatever, he didn't plug it in or plug a saw in and create it. He created a piece. And his wife said he got an A on it, and I said, I think he should have.
He deserved an A. You keep
A
a flashlight right here so that people can look inside, but you can see the amount of detail that he goes through to make this possible. I mean, the inside of the barn is just as the barn would have been. And let's look up too, through the top here, and you can see that he's got it all worked out. There's a ladder up to the loft. Isn't that a piece of work? Remarkable. A 16-year-old kid, and And he got an A. I certainly should have gotten an A.
Yeah.
And some of these buildings are still on the property.
The barn is still there. I think this garage is still here. The chicken house is gone. The hog shed's gone, of course. But I always marvel at the gates that he used here, with created the little hinges and made the
that's
latch
just remarkable. From 1937, class of 37. Yeah.
I think it should have been 42. And
42.
Yeah.
Terrific. Okay, now the center of the barn is remarkable as well, because what we've got here is you love your signs.
I love my signs.
Okay, beer signs, seed sacks, license plates.
The license plates were here in the barn
Let's go back out. Gary, you need a wall the size of a barn to fit those beer signs up there. That's remarkable. And you got to have a good ladder to do that. You got
to have a real good ladder and a little bit of guts too to climb up that high and stick them up there. But it's one of those things that I just do.
We're looking at that stag sign, and that's what got you started.
That's what got me started.
How'd that happen?
Well, it came about with Dwayne Schaefer, which I think you did a feature on the bridge, and his dad drank stag. He kind of drank a little bit of stag, and I don't know how it all got started, but we got him a stag sign, and then I found another one and put it up, and then I kind of liked it, and then I started going to flea markets and started this and that, and then it added up to this, just like the toys. It got carried away.
It just keeps going and going and going.
Gets carried away.
Look at the Clydesdale, the Budweiser Clydesdales. Now that's one I've never seen before. I've seen a lot of signs. That's a beauty.
Yeah, I think I picked that up at a garage sale in Quincy, and I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. So.
Oh man, yeah. I guess all those old bars, a lot of them were out of business, and they all had signs, didn't they?
Well, there used to be a bar in every corner.
Every
Quincy,
corner.
A bar and a church, I believe.
You mentioned feed sacks earlier. I love this. People who farm would recognize all these names, more than likely.
More than likely. Actually, I just started picking them up. Keller's was, of course, a popular brand from Quincy, and they're just closing their store. But I'd get the Kellers, and then I'd find some others here, there, and yonder. And then Doug Sill came here one day, and he sold Pioneer. And he says, "You don't have a Pioneer bag." So 2 days later, I had a Pioneer bag.
Yeah, you got Keller's is local, Burris is local. You got some Burris seed up there.
So I got a little bit of everything there. So.
Okay, now I noticed we can't see everything, but we talked about this barn and how it was made for draft horses, and I think people will find it very interesting if we go downstairs and show the configuration of the barn, because they don't make them like this anymore.
They don't make them like this anymore. That's for sure.
After you. We mentioned that this barn was built, Gary, for draft horses. And boy, they were big. They had these big stalls. They had 8 of them side by side, didn't they?
Yeah.
And you were telling me that they'd use 4 horses in the morning and 4 horses in the afternoon. Huh?
Yeah, and brought them in to rest in the afternoon, and that's how they did things back then.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't realize that until a gentleman that helped build the barn came by and told us that. So. But
you got a lot of space yet for more collections.
More collections.
You got a lot of old tools over there.
Yeah. Most all these tools that are in here and stuff down here were left here in the barn. There was that tool collection that's up there on the wall. That was all here in the barn. The license plates were all still here in the barn when we bought the place. So it was a treasure hunt every day we'd go out. So
over here, now this would have been the beef cattle.
The beef
section,
cattle,
right? They'd have brought them in and fed them here and get them out of the weather.
There was bunks here, and of course I added the concrete, and there was a lot of manure in here. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, I'll bet.
But cleaned it up and made it a little more functional.
This also had a cool feature in that, we're all familiar with laundry chutes. Well, this is a chute, isn't it? And this is a chute over here.
Right.
And they would throw the feed down into these boxes.
Yeah, this chute went up to the cardinal room. The toy room. And this went up to the cardinal room, and they kept oats in that one and corn in that one, and they just shove it down there and flip her up and get out what they need, feed the horses, and go on.
Yeah. Well, you got a lot of room for more collections down here. You got a way to expand. That's good. Gary, you built this garage not too long ago.
This was,
You probably thought you were going to keep your cars in there, right?
well, that was a plan, but I had a garage where we came from, and I kind of had an idea what I wanted to do. And I didn't. Again, everything got out of hand. We added a bathroom, and that just kind of got out of hand. So
This place is so clean. It looks like you've never had a car in here, but actually you do use it.
we use it. That question comes up quite often when people come in and says,
You were the coach, the head football coach for many years. You coached for 30, how many
33 years.
33 years at Menden Unity. And this was your era of your football players. These were your playoff teams.
These are our playoff teams, and my retirement period, and we got started the winning playoffs in '89, and had a pretty good run through there. And you know, it was fun to come home to coach. I guess that's why I came back to Menden, was to come home, and I got to experience things when you wrote in the 5th grade what you wanted to be when you grew up.
Yeah.
I got to live it. So
you wanted to be a coach.
I wanted to be a coach, and I wanted to come back to Unity, and that's I got to be my dream.
So you were never tempted to coach anywhere else. This was what you wanted to do.
I was at Camp Point Central for 10 years. I came to Unity and then left to coach over there, and then I got the opportunity to come back here 10 years later, and I stayed 21 years. So
you also have people give you all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
this is some of the older. I mean, really, this is when they took pictures of all the teams, and you can see how old.
Well, there's teams, there's graduation. This is Rosemary's dad's in this picture in '33.
And this one here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And some of these I don't even know. They give them to me, and I don't know. Up there's old Lima.
Well, it does have the date on it, though. Yeah. This really old picture says 07.
Oh, excuse me. That's one. I got one over there. Don't have it. In Lima High School, when Lima had a high school. And some of those. And this is when we had grade school teams, and there was 3, 6, 9, 12 teams outside of Quincy that.
And we're looking here now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at all
12
those teams
outside of Quincy that and they came together and had 3 divisions of basketball.
And here's Gerald Brickman.
That's my dad.
1932.
Yeah.
Handsome lad.
Yeah, and
look at that outfit. Look at the uniform they wore at that time.
And this was 1959, and we won the Class C championship. And this is when I was tall. Unfortunately,
you're the biggest kid.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm still the same height.
And there's more of your older material over here.
Yeah. And a lot of these pictures are given to me by Leafy Murphy, who's a lady that lived there in Menden, and some of them came out of this, from Unity High School. But I mean, they're just all years, from 30s and 40s. I mean, this one was Unity's first, after the consolidated, first homecoming.
You're the historian, man. If anybody wants anything, they know where to go.
Well, that happens quite a bit.
And Unity Menden Unity had a pretty good year this year too, didn't they? This is your latest material.
Great run at the end of the season, and got 3rd place in the state. And I tell people I waited 60 years for that. I started probably having an interest in Unity's athletics, and about my sisters started high school, and I figured I was about 8 years old, so this was quite the experience to be a part of.
Yeah, thrill.
And then I have the family that gave us the barn. Their great-grandson played on this team, and that's where a lot of the memorabilia came from.
Rosie, you're a sports family, aren't you? You and Gary were coaches at the same time at Menden Unity. And this sign that we're looking at here, the member of the Elite 8 in '86, that was your volleyball team.
That was my volleyball team.
In fact, you're in the Hall of Fame, the Unity Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
And you were the Harold Wigg Coach of the Year one year.
One time.
So you had great success yourself.
We had, had a lot of good girls to play for me, and we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you also have your wall in the sports memorabilia
my wall,
garage.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and I'm standing on what is the significance of the floor we're standing on?
Well, this was our old gym floor, and it was replaced, and a guy from Mount Sterling bought it, and Gary got together with him and managed to get the middle back with the Mustangs. So
neat.
This is quite the popular corner.
Yeah,
here,
and this would, I mean, this had to be saved. The new floor probably has a Mustang, but it doesn't look
Yeah,
like this.
no, it's
cool
not
like
the
this.
same Mustang and not the same floor that we bounced volleyballs on. So
Well, we mentioned you being inducted into the Unity Hall of Fame, and this is your picture from that time. Those were good years, huh?
yeah, they were all good years. Like I said, just a lot of fun. I worked with a lot of great girls who have gone on to have wonderful careers doing a lot of things, so it was a great trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll bet you get groups of people that, for reunions and for those kinds of things, they want to be here. They want to have them here, don't they?
Yeah, they do. We get a lot of reunions, and everybody enjoys looking at the pictures. You know, if it's not their group, then it might be their child or grandchild in the picture, so they enjoy it a lot.
Yeah,
And we
that's
enjoy
great.
sharing it.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
You also share your garden
Yes.
with people. You apparently have a remarkable talent for gardening, and I want to take a little bit of this program and see some colorful stuff, because early July is a good time to look, isn't
Yes,
it?
it is. There's a lot going on out there.
Okay, let's go outside.
Okay.
Rosie, before we enter your garden between your picket fence and your little arbor here, these clematises have an interesting history. These go back a ways, and you were really wanted to keep these, to dig these up and to put them here. How come?
Yes. One of them belongs to my mother, and one of them belongs to his mother, and they both grew at their back doors. And when they passed, I dug them up, and this one's actually been moved twice because it was at our other house and then came here too. So they're very kind of memorial to them.
That's terrific.
They both love their flowers.
They apparently, the clematises like it here too.
They're very happy here.
And right behind the clematises, we mentioned the summer kitchen.
Yes.
This did not burn when the house burned, so that summer kitchen's really old. We don't know
Really
exactly
old.
how old, but it's really old.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's got some age on it.
Do you still use it?
I use it as a garden house.
Do you?
Put my tools and pots and things in there,
Yeah, yeah.
and an
Perfect.
occasional cat.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's walk in.
Okay.
Okay, Rosie, as we walk past the petunia down here, the pink petunia, and coreopsis?
Coreopsis.
Oh, hey,
Regular
I
coreopsis
guessed
and
right.
moonbeam coreopsis.
And moonbeam coreopsis, okay.
Yeah.
Most of these, I guess, are perennials, huh?
Most of them are perennials, except the small things along the edges. Those are annuals, the petunias and the marigolds, but it's basically perennials.
That's one way you can change up your garden every year, isn't it?
Right.
Because you can put a little different trim around it
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, and
But
I'm
your
a
bread and butter
changer.
is the perennials. You like them so that come back every
Yes.
year, don't you?
Yes, and
Was-
they have the size.
We had a difficult winter. Did your stuff all come through okay?
Yeah, I was so surprised because I tore this whole garden up last August
Really?
and completely replanted almost every plant in here.
goodness.
And so some of it I didn't get put back in until late October, and I was really scared that some of my bigger things might not make it, but they were fine.
Yeah, and they had a
So,
tough winter to make
yeah,
it through, too.
they had a very rough winter.
You
So-
have groups of, let's walk this way.
Okay.
You have groups of, mostly lady groups, but I'm sure others that are interested in gardening, who like to come out here and take their day trips, don't they?
Yes, I have some church groups and some home extension groups and different ones that like to come out and see the garden. So
Look at these daylilies. I guess that's what those are.
those
right?
are actually Asiatic lilies.
Asiatic
These
lilies.
are daylilies.
Okay.
They have more of a grassy,
These over here?
the yellow ones, yeah.
Okay, these
those
are
are
daylilies. Okay.
uh-huh.
And the Asiatic lilies, they have a different shape.
Right.
The stem's different, isn't
And
it?
they last more than a day. They last a couple of weeks.
And you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like
Is that why
I like the
daylilies
mix.
are called daylilies?
Exactly.
Because you get one day out of them?
And I didn't know that. When I got my first daylily,
Yeah.
I got some from my mom, but then when I actually bought one from a lady that has a lily farm over by Golden,
Oh, I know that lady.
Norma?
The retired teachers?
He was.
Right,
yeah,
right. They have an
but
immense collection
beautiful.
of daylilies.
Yeah, they have them registered and everything. And I called her and I said that the flower was beautiful, but it was gone the next day. And she said, Rosie, remember, they're daylilies. And I had kind of forgotten
That's a lot
that.
of work to
so.
go through for one day, isn't it?
Yeah.
But look at all you've done here. You even have some roses, and I'll tell you, roses are, the reason I don't like roses is because they bite you so hard. I mean, you work with them a little bit and they just really tear you up.
Well, these are the new knockout roses. You're not supposed to have to deadhead them. I still do sometimes, but I don't have very many roses. Not really don't really have great luck with roses. So those are new. And
You look over to my left over here and you see your garden goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
And you also find use for things like old gates and everything
I
else.
love old gates. The gates, some of them came from here, some of them you got at sales. And then I don't know if you can see on either side of the arbor, there's a little thing. Those are actually baby beds that I had cut in half to make.
The
all
arbor
these
itself
little-
is baby? Oh no, on the
On the
side.
sides.
Okay, yeah, I do see
Yeah.
it. I do see it.
And then the arbors were made by a very interesting gentleman in Quincy, and I can't remember his name right now, but he makes all these metal things and just does beautiful work, and he made those for me.
Oh, it is gorgeous. And one other thing that I want to make sure that we get a look at, let's walk this way, okay? And because I don't see a white clematis very darned often. But I'm looking at your arbor that you mentioned over here. Can I walk on this grass here?
Sure can.
Okay.
Yes, this one is very hardy. Last summer, you know, the weather was horrible, and it was so hot and dry.
happy
It
right
bloomed
there.
all summer.
Oh,
It bloomed
man,
through the 105 heat.
It still has a lot of blooms coming on. Look at all the blooms coming on at the top.
Like I say, it bloomed all summer in the heat, so I don't know. It must be some newer kind because
Just beautiful. Well, this has been
it's
a terrific day. I want to thank you and Gary for sharing all this with us.
yeah,
This
we
is
enjoy
just,
sharing it with people.
yeah.
And glad that you came and that we can have people see it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Thank you.
So.
As you might suspect, the Brickman home is a popular place for school reunions. Already this fall, they have scheduled the class of 59 and 69, and Gary's 50th reunion of the class of 64 are going to be here this fall as well. With another Illinois story near Ursa, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you. For a DVD copy of the program you've just seen, send $19.95 to Network Knowledge, P.O. Box 6248, Springfield, Illinois 62708. Be sure to include the program name, subject, and when the program aired. You can also order with your credit card by calling 800-232-3605.